First Contact's challenge. The skies above Earth had always been silent. For centuries, humans gazed upward with a mix of wonder and trepidation, sending signals into the void and receiving nothing in return. Scientists theorized, dreamers imagined, but the stars kept their secrets. Until they didn't. On a Tuesday morning in April 2147, silence became sound. Every communication device on the planet simultaneously broadcast the same message. A series of mathematical sequences, followed by coordinates in high Earth orbit. 17 minutes later, a ripple appeared in space above the North Atlantic. A distortion in reality itself that expanded into a massive portal of swirling energy. From this cosmic gateway emerged the Voidwalkers. Their ships defied human understanding of physics, crystalline structures that seemed to bend light around them, propelled by energies that made Earth's nuclear capabilities look like children's toys. The lead vessel alone stretched nearly 2 kilometers, shaped like an elongated diamond with pulsing veins of purple energy running through its translucent hull. Dr. Elena Reyes, director of NASA's Extraterrestrial Communications Division, was the first human to receive their full message. To the developing species of Sol 3, the transmission began, their language somehow perfectly translated into all Earth languages simultaneously. We are the Voidwalkers, masters of 13 galaxies and arbiters of cosmic evolution. Your civilization has been judged and found unprepared for continued autonomous development. Your technologies are crude, your societies fractured, your understanding of universal principles primitive. The message continued without emotion. You will surrender planetary governance to our appointed regents within 72 hours. Resistance is not advised. Those who accept integration will be preserved. Those who resist will be removed from the evolutionary path. Panic erupted globally. Stock markets collapsed within hours. Religious leaders proclaimed everything from apocalypse to salvation. Military forces worldwide went to their highest alert status, though few believed Earth's weapons would be effective against such advanced technology. In an underground facility, beneath the Rocky Mountains, General Maya Okafor stared at the largest of several screens displaying the alien vessels. Her weathered face revealed nothing, but her hands, clasped behind her back, tightened until her knuckles whitened. So they think we're primitive, she said to the room of high-ranking military and scientific personnel. Unprepared, fractured. A thin smile appeared. They've made their first mistake. Dr. Jakub Novak, a Czech theoretical physicist with wild gray hair and wilder theories, moved to her side. General, I've analyzed their transmission. The translation matrix they're using. It's adapting to our languages, but struggling with concepts like humor, metaphor, improvisation. Meaning what exactly? Asked General Okafor. Meaning, Novak replied, eyes gleaming. They may understand our technology, but they don't understand us. Within hours, a hastily assembled team of Earth's most brilliant and unconventional minds gathered in the facility codenamed Bastion. Military strategists sat beside game theorists. Linguists worked with hackers. Behavioral psychologists consulted with special forces operators. Their mission wasn't to match the Voidwalkers' technology. That would be impossible, but to find another way. Captain Lian Chen, former Chinese Special Forces and current head of the newly formed Asymmetric Response Division, placed a small metallic cube on the conference table. This, she said, was recovered from a scout drone they sent to Beijing 20 minutes ago. Dr. Singh. Dr. Amara Singh, the quantum computing specialist from Mumbai, activated a scanner over the device. Holographic displays erupted around the room, showing the object's internal structure and energy patterns. It's a computational node, she said after several minutes of analysis. Part of a network. They're mapping us. Infrastructure, defense systems, population centers. But the interesting part is how it processes information. She highlighted a particular section of the schematic. It's absolutely linear. Perfect, logical, predictable processing chains with no redundancy or creative pathways. General Okafor leaned forward. And that matters because Dr. Singh's smile was slow and wide. Because, General, it suggests they think the way they compute. Linear, logical, predictable. They expect us to respond the same way. But humans rarely do, said Professor Keisha Williams, a game theory specialist from Oxford. Our greatest advantage throughout our evolutionary history has been adaptability and unpredictability. We don't always make the optimal choice. Sometimes, added Captain Chen, we make the insane choice, the one no logical being would anticipate. For the next 48 hours, as the Voidwalkers' deadline approached, Earth's governments publicly debated surrender terms, while Bastion worked feverishly on what they called Operation Wildcard. The alien vessels remained in position, occasionally dispatching small scout craft that hovered over major cities, scanning and observing. In Seoul, a Voidwalker scout witnessed thousands of citizens spontaneously forming a massive human art installation in the shape of a smiling face. In Rio, people threw an impromptu carnival beneath a hovering alien craft. In Nairobi, children flew kites painted with welcoming messages, deliberately tangling them in the scout ship's energy field. None of these responses appeared in the Voidwalkers' prediction models. With 12 hours remaining before the surrender deadline, Dr. Rice broadcast Earth's official response. She stood before cameras in Geneva, the United Nations complex behind her, her dark hair pulled back severely, her expression solemn. To the Voidwalkers, she began, "We have received your terms and conditions." She paused, then smiled, not the diplomatic smile of an official representative, but the mischievous grin of a child about to tip over a sand castle. "Our answer is simple. Humanity respectfully declines your offer." She then proceeded to recite a poem, Pablo Neruda's Ode to the Present, before ending the transmission with a wink. Within minutes, all Voidwalker scout ships abruptly returned to their mothership. The alien vessels shifted position, forming what military analysts recognized as an attack formation. They didn't understand the response. Professor Williams said, watching the fleet movements, "Poetry, metaphor, defiance with a smile. These aren't computable responses to them." "Then let's really confuse them," General Okafor said, activating a secure communication channel. "All units, Operation Wildcard is a go." Across the planet, military and civilian assets deployed in patterns that seemed random to conventional strategic analysis. Fighter jets launched from carriers but flew in spiraling, seemingly aimless patterns. Civilian boats sailed from ports toward the alien vessels, playing loud music and trailing colorful flares. University radio telescopes began broadcasting mathematics problems with deliberate errors. Weather modification systems created rainbow patterns in clouds beneath the alien fleet. The first Voidwalker assault came at dawn over the Indian Ocean, a concentrated energy beam that should have devastated a significant portion of the eastern seaboard of Australia. Instead, it encountered an array of thousands of small reflective drones released from submarines, each programmed with slightly different erratic movement patterns. The beam scattered, its energy dissipated across the sky in a spectacular light show visible for thousands of kilometers. The drones were simple technology, barely more advanced than toys, but their unpredictable movements and reflective surfaces had created a chaotic diffraction field that the precision weapon couldn't penetrate. In Bastion, the team watched as the Voidwalkers reconfigured their weapons and prepared for a second attack. "They're adapting," Captain Chen noted, her voice tense. "Yes," Dr. Singh replied, her fingers dancing across holographic controls. "But they're adapting logically, predictably. They're making the optimal adjustment." Which means, Professor Williams added, they're still not understanding the lesson. The next Voidwalker attacked targeted military installations in Europe, only to find them evacuated, with holographic projections making it appear as though soldiers were performing elaborate dance routines in formation. When the aliens targeted power infrastructure in North America, they discovered the grid had been temporarily reconfigured into patterns resembling ancient petroglyphs. Each logical attack was met with an illogical defense, not always successful, but never what the Voidwalkers expected. Buildings were damaged, systems disrupted, some lives lost, but not the devastating conquest the aliens had anticipated from a primitive civilization. In the primary Voidwalker vessel, High Commander Zix-9 observed the human response with growing concern. Their behavioral algorithms had predicted either immediate surrender or conventional military resistance, both easily countered. Instead, these humans were responding with chaos. Analysis units, the commander addressed the hive mind. Explain this discrepancy. The response came back fragmented, uncertain. Humans appear to be implementing strategies without clear optimization parameters. They are sacrificing efficiency for unpredictability. Our models cannot establish pattern recognition with sufficient confidence to predict next actions. For the first time, in 17 conquest cycles, the Voidwalkers were confused. In Bastion, as the first day of resistance ended, Dr. Reyes received an unexpected communication from the alien fleet, a request for clarification. They want to know, she told the team, barely containing her excitement, why we aren't following appropriate resistance protocols. They want to understand our surrender conditions, since we clearly must realize we cannot win. General Okafor smiled. Tell them we'll be happy to explain our thinking process in person. Invite their leadership to land. Professor Williams raised an eyebrow. Are we ready for that step? The general nodded slowly. Humanity has spent its entire existence preparing for this moment, not with technology, but with our fundamental nature. We're ready. As the sun set over the Rocky Mountains, the Bastion team prepared for the next phase. Direct contact with the Voidwalkers. The aliens hadn't conquered Earth in their first day as expected, but everyone knew this was just the beginning. The real test would come when the Voidwalkers adapted their approach. But for the first time since the alien ships appeared, hope flickered across human faces. They had found their weapon, not in advanced technology, but in the chaotic, creative, unpredictable nature of humanity itself. The unconventional victory. Dawn broke over a changed Earth. The Voidwalkers had spent the night repositioning their fleet in a new configuration, a massive ring formation high above the equator. Their scout ships deployed in greater numbers, no longer simply observing but actively interfering with human communications and transportation networks. In Jakarta, thousands fled as alien energy fields disrupted power grids. In Mexico City, strange crystalline structures began growing from buildings touched by Voidwalker scanning beams. In orbit, satellites blinked out one by one as the aliens methodically dismantled Earth's communication infrastructure. The Voidwalkers were adapting. Inside Bastion, the mood was tense but focused. Sleep-deprived experts hunched over workstations, analyzing alien movements and coordinating Earth's seemingly chaotic response. Dr. Singh's fingers flew across holographic controls as she mapped the pattern of satellite destructions. They're being systematic, she announced, taking our eyes and ears first, working inward from highest orbit to lowest. It's a classic siege preparation. Isolate before attack. Captain Chen nodded. Standard procedure, exactly what any military strategist would expect. Which means, General Okafor said, they still don't understand what they're dealing with. Dr. Novak burst into the command center, his wild hair even more disheveled than usual, clutching a tablet. I've analyzed their energy signatures during last night's attacks. They're not just weapons. They're scanners. They're studying how we respond to different threats. They're learning, Professor Williams said quietly. Yes, but learning what? Dr. Reyes countered. They're observing our technological responses, but that's not our true defense. General Okafor straightened. Exactly. So let's show them something they can't quantify. She activated the global command channel. All units, initiate protocol Dionysus. Across the planet, humanity's response shifted again. Military units that had been defending in conventional patterns suddenly began acting like performance artists, arranging tanks in flower formations, painting fighter jets in bright colors, broadcasting classic rock from battleships. Civilian populations organized into massive, seemingly random gatherings. Dance parties in evacuation centers, impromptu concerts in underground bunkers, sports competitions in the shadow of alien scout ships. From orbit, Earth must have looked insane. The Voidwalker's response came swiftly, a massive energy pulse that temporarily disabled electronic devices across the northern hemisphere. As screens went dark in Bastion, backup systems kicked in, powered by an unlikely source. Thousands of bicycle generators pedaled by volunteers in underground facilities. "They're escalating," Captain Chen noted as systems came back online, moving from confusion to frustration. "Good," said Dr. Singh. "Emotional responses mean they're abandoning pure logic. They're becoming more like us." The next phase of the alien attack targeted Earth's largest cities with precision strikes, or attempted to. As their weapons locked onto population centers, they discovered that humans had created elaborate decoys, inflatable skyscrapers, holographic crowds, heat signature emitters arranged in misleading patterns. Real populations had dispersed into smaller groups, many underground or in natural shelters, coordinating via old-fashioned radio and even more ancient methods like signal fires and messenger networks. High Commander Zix-9 observed this baffling response with growing agitation. The conquest of 13 galaxies had never presented such difficulties. Every species they had encountered either fought conventionally and lost, or surrendered and was assimilated. These humans did neither. "Direct contact is required," Zix-9 announced to the command collective. "Their behavior patterns must be studied directly." The massive diamond-shaped command ship descended toward the coordinates Dr. Rice had provided. A flat plain in Tanzania, where ancient humans had first walked upright millions of years ago. The symbolism was deliberate, a reminder of humanity's long journey of survival against overwhelming odds. As the ship touched down, a small delegation approached. General Okafor, Dr. Rice, Professor Williams, Captain Chen, and Dr. Novak, representing military, communication, strategy, tactics, and science. They carried no weapons or no protective gear. Their only defense was their minds. The Voidwalker delegation that emerged from the ship was both beautiful and terrifying. Tall, crystalline beings with internal lights pulsing in complex patterns, moving with perfect economy of motion. Their leader, High Commander Zix-9, towered above the rest, its structure more elaborate, its internal lights a deep purple. "You requested explanation." The alien communicated, its thoughts translating directly into understanding in the humans' minds. "Explain your irrational resistance strategies." Dr. Rice stepped forward. "We're not being irrational. We're being human." Clarify distinction. Professor Williams joined her colleague. "Your species evolved for efficiency, for optimization. Ours evolved for adaptation. You perfect a single approach. We generate thousands of imperfect alternatives." "Inefficient," stated the Voidwalker. "Wasteful, but unpredictable," Captain Chen added, "and impossible to counter with a single strategy." The Voidwalker commander emitted pulses of light that the translation matrix rendered as skepticism. "Your technologies are primitive. Your defenses inadequate. Your resistance temporary." General Okafor smiled. "Our technology isn't our primary tool for survival. It never has been." "Explain." Dr. Novak stepped forward, eyes gleaming with excitement. "Throughout our history, humans have survived not by being the strongest or most advanced, but by being the most creative, the most collaborative, and yes, the most chaotic. We tell stories," Dr. Rice added. "We make art. We laugh in the face of danger. We cooperate in ways that make no evolutionary sense," Professor Williams continued. "We sacrifice for strangers. We die for ideas. And most importantly," General Okafor concluded, "we never, ever respond exactly as you expect us to." The Voidwalker commander was silent for a long moment, internal lights pulsing in complex patterns as it communicated with the collective consciousness of its fleet. Finally, it addressed the humans again. Demonstration required. Dr. Reyes nodded to Dr. Singh, who activated a global broadcast signal. Across the planet, in thousands of locations, humans had prepared their demonstration, not of technology or military might, but of humanity itself. Children in London performed improvised dances. Elderly couples in Tokyo sang to each other. Scientists in Nairobi recited poetry about stars. Farmers in Nebraska played instruments made from their tools. Athletes in Rio competed in games with constantly changing rules. Indigenous tribes in Australia painted stories on rocks as their ancestors had done for 60,000 years. Each demonstration was unique, unpredictable, creative, impossible to reduce to algorithm or strategy. This, Dr. Reyes said quietly, is human resistance. Not just our bodies or our weapons, but our spirits. You can destroy our cities, disable our technology, even eliminate many of us. But you cannot predict or control what remains. And what remains will always adapt, always create, always find a new way. The Voidwalker commander's lights pulsed rapidly as it processed this information. This is inefficient. Yes, agreed Professor Williams. Gloriously, beautifully inefficient. And yet, the alien continued, effective. A moment of silence fell over the plane as the implications of this acknowledgement registered with both groups. Finally, High Commander 69 spoke again. Integration protocols require adjustment. Standard conquest parameters insufficient. The human delegation exchanged glances. This was the opening they had hoped for. General Okafor stepped forward. We propose an alternative. Not surrender, not war, but exchange. Learn from us as we learn from you. Begin a relationship based not on dominance, but on mutual growth. Your species is chaotic, unpredictable, the Voidwalker stated, a potential threat to cosmic order. Or, Dr. Rice countered, a source of innovation unlike anything in your 13 galaxies. We don't want to fight you, but we will never surrender our essential nature. The choice is yours, a costly, unpredictable conflict with an outcome even we cannot guess, or a new kind of relationship. The alien commander's lights pulsed once more, a slow rhythm that the translation matrix couldn't quite interpret. Then, in a movement that seemed almost human, it inclined its crystalline form in what might have been a nod. We will consider. Within hours, the Voidwalker fleet began to withdraw, not in retreat, but in strategic reassessment. Their command ship lifted off last, its crystalline structure catching the setting sun and refracting it in rainbow patterns across the African plain. As the ships disappeared through the same spatial distortion that had brought them, Dr. Rice turned to her colleagues. They'll be back, you know. General Okafor nodded. Yes, but next time, they won't expect us to be predictable. And that gives us time. Time for what? Asked Captain Chen. Professor Williams smiled. Time to become even more creatively, gloriously human. In the aftermath, Earth changed. Nations that had been enemies for generations found common ground in defense preparations. Scientists shared discoveries openly across borders. Artists and storytellers gained new respect as humanity recognized that its greatest weapon had always been its creativity. 1 year later, a small Voidwalker craft returned, carrying not weapons but representatives, scientific, cultural, diplomatic. Earth welcomed them cautiously but sincerely. The exchange had begun. In those early meetings, a Voidwalker representative asked Dr. Rice a question that had puzzled their collective consciousness. When threatened with extinction, your species responded with laughter. Explain. Dr. Rice smiled. Laughter is our way of accepting that the universe is absurd, unpredictable, and often terrifying, and choosing to face it anyway. It's the most human thing we do. The Voidwalker processed this for a moment, then attempted something never before recorded in their 13-galaxy history. A small, awkward approximation of human laughter. It wasn't quite right. but it was a start.